Now we're live. Okay. So, my most visibility advice skips over this one thing, and that's not going to happen today. I'm Denise Wakeman. I'm glad you're here with me today. Today, I am joined by someone whose passion and advocacy is all about creating those connections that help you boost your business, get more business, and build relationships. I am speaking with Elizabeth Cottrell. She is the founder of the Heartspoken movement. She has a book also called Heartspoken and a Substack newsletter called Heartspoken. And today we're going to be talking about the practices that you can also apply to your business with Heartspoken notes.
Yay.
So welcome, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much, Denise. I've been looking forward to this.
Me too, because you've really built an amazing movement, really, over the last couple of years based on many previous years of this passion of yours. So you are an advocate for sending heart-spoken written notes. But maybe handwriting isn't going to cut it for everybody. I am noticing my handwriting is deteriorating greatly. But let's talk about the power of personal notes. And why does that still resonate in a business setting?
I think the quick answer to that, Denise, is that it resonates because it's so rare. Everybody, there's a wonderful trend in the last few years towards, they call it different things, heart-centered business or heart-oriented business. And there's a lot of talk about that out there. And of course, it's all about giving value, adding value. But I think it's all about connection and building relationships. And so people have different ways of doing that. Some people are great at personal interactions. Some people are great at picking up the telephone. Some people are great at social media. But I feel like there should be several tools in your toolkit. And that one of the ones that is so often overlooked is the simple handwritten note, but it doesn't have to be handwritten. What I really mean is written, typed, printed, tucked in an envelope, and sent by mail. There's still a place for email. There's still a place for phone calls. A big place for both, but for the non-timely, I'm thinking of you, I just want to touch bases with you type of communication, a handwritten, hand-mailed note just shows that you value relationships more than transactions.
Mm-hmm. So normally, I think of sending handwritten notes as for personal correspondence. So, but business correspondence is just as important. And so I'm wondering, what would be the difference? How would you explain a difference between a personal handwritten note or a note? Let's just say a note, and we'll assume it's handwritten at this point. Between personal and writing a business note to
That
someone.
is a great question. And I would say the very simplest difference is hopefully you've got corporate or organization stationery. Or at the very least, a bit of a more formal card or stationery note paper that's got your name on it. That's different than the kind of cards you'd buy at the Hallmark store. So that is one thing. Another thing is that you need to think about the occasions. A lot of them are the same kind of occasions that you would send a note. But what I like to encourage business and nonprofit professionals to think about is to go beyond that, to go beyond what's expected, because that's what really stands out. Mm-hmm. We have all gotten pre-printed, if we're lucky, a handwritten note, but not usually, Christmas cards and birthday cards. But I would submit that the ones that come out of the blue because you remembered that it was that their child just graduated from high school, or you remembered that they were getting ready to go on a tour, the trip to Hawaii, or you remembered and read that they had gotten a promotion, or you had met them at a networking event and you just wanted to cement the relationship. There's those kinds of things are just sort of out of the blue in some ways, but when you think about sales, and we're talking about selling products, we're selling services, selling an idea, selling a ministry, um, raising money for a cause, all of
Mm.
those can be put into a big category of sales. Um, and they all require what in sales vernacular is called touches. And the statistics say that you don't make a sale without 5 to 8 to 12 touches. Now, a lot of people hate cold calling. They hate picking up the phone. And these little notes, these little they're just touches, and they're ways to let the person know not only that you're thinking about them, but that perhaps the last time you saw them, you were paying attention to what they said, what they told you about themselves, what their interests were. So it's all
Yeah.
just, it's very similar to personal relationships, but it's in a business context.
Right. That brings to mind that it's good to have a way to remember all those possible touch points. So, having some kind of notebook or customer relationship management system, CRM, is important to keep, for the people that you're connecting with in your business, whether it's a vendor or a colleague or a client, customer. That just sort of like, gosh, how would I know if, their, child just graduated from high school, because
Absolutely.
you know, somehow you're keeping in touch with people on some level, in a professional capacity, that these little tidbits get dropped in conversation.
Absolutely, and I've written about this on my LinkedIn in my LinkedIn newsletter. Several, but last year I did a series on the kind of information to try to collect, and then some different CRM programs. But honestly, people don't use a Rolodex anymore, but you can certainly use a card file if you're sort of an analog person.
Yeah.
And the kinds of things, if particularly if you're a busy professional and you interact with a lot of people, it's good to know. It's good to remember. Oh, did that person did I hear they got divorced last year, or did I hear that they lost a spouse, during COVID? I mean, those kind of things are important for, but equally important on a less serious matter if they talk about interests, and then you come
Mhm.
across a book or a movie or a program or a speaker that is coming who's going to talk about that. It just really shows that you care enough to listen more than talk.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, yeah. I'm like, "Oh, I've got some work to do here." So, let's get back to the beginning, and what does the term "heart-spoken" mean to you, and how did this evolve into, such a strong passion for you?
Interesting, and it's not what people would expect. So when, excuse me, when my husband retired and I was shifting gears as to wanting to do something different from technical writing, I was thinking about those things that really call to me, and I realized that one of the things that had long fascinated me in my own relationships was connection.
Mhm.
And then I started thinking about, well, what kinds of connection are there? And for me, and I'm sure it's different, but for me, there are four essential connections with my higher power, with myself, with others, and with nature. And I find that when my life is off track a little, I can almost always think back and look at one of those and realize one of them needs a little work. So
Mm.
but as I was writing about those four kinds of connection, I was also came to realize that there were tools to help us strengthen each of those four connections. And one of the tools that came to light with connecting with other people was note writing. Well, that was something I had done for a long time. I had been taught to do it. It was good manners.
Yeah.
But the day that I got a note from a stranger who read a note I had written not to her, but to her son's fiance, and her son had taken his own life. And it
Mm,
was a sympathy note, and the person I wrote it to shared it with this woman, and she wrote to me and said, "I've read it over and over and over, and it was a
mm,
lifeline." And I thought, "Oh my gosh, what did I say? I wish I had kept a copy." But it was like a light bulb for me, Denise, that this is so much more than just good manners. So
yeah.
that was my light bulb moment, and that's when I started talking and writing a little bit about it, and then people would give me feedback. "Oh, but I don't know what to say," or "I'm scared I'll say the wrong thing," or yeah, I mean, and you are not alone. And
Mhm.
so that's when I started trying to look for to help people realize that what they want to say is inside them, in their heart. And so that's where kind of the heart spoken comes from.
Yeah, yeah. So, in terms of visibility, how do you connect that to the note writing, the practice of note writing?
I just try to integrate it fairly organically and seamlessly with my other social media things like that. I try to um, follow up with thank you notes, obviously, if I've been on a podcast or if I've been invited to do something. I try to, and it's, you almost always have to just ask somebody's address because unless they've got it on their website, it's tricky to find addresses these days. But I usually just say,
True.
I've written you a thank you note and realized, or I've written you a note about anything. Sometimes I write
Mhm.
to people who wrote something that moved me, and I wanted to let them know. And I will just say in email or in social media, I've written you a note to tell you how much that piece meant to me, but I just realized I don't have your address. May I send it, or would you rather I scanned it and sent it by email? So there's
Oh,
a
that's
lot
yeah.
I'm pretty sensitive about privacy,
Mhm.
particularly if it's somebody that's well known. Sometimes I'll send something to an agent or a literary agent or a obvious um, corporate address or something like that.
Right,
But at
right.
any rate, but my point is that it's just another tool in my arsenal for developing relationships, and I'm amazed that one person knows another person knows another person, and I've got story after story, and I can share them if you want, but of people that said, "Oh, so and so would be interested in what you're doing, touch bases with them," and I'll write them a note, and then they'll say, "Oh, well, I want to give your book," and finally the book will end up in the hands of somebody really influential, and all of a sudden I've got more visibility than I would ever have dreamed of. So it's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
and it has to come from a sense of providing value, trying to help people. But when that is genuine, which it is for most people, I think people just realize it and you get karma comes back.
Yes, yes. And, when if you wanna think about it also in a literal way, you're showing up in someone's physical mailbox, and that right there is gonna set you so far apart that it's gonna be a long time before they forget that, right? That somebody that they may not have known, sent them, uh, a note or a card or whatever that, you know, is a physical thing that
Exactly.
you have to go to the mailbox. You see it, you handle it, you take it, you sit down at your desk or in a chair, and you open it. I mean, it's a very, physical way to connect with someone, and that's kind of visibility isn't fleeting.
Exactly, exactly. And one of the things that I share with other authors is that they to use their book as a calling card, and when they and I'll shout out to Josh Spector. So many of us know Josh Spector. His advice to authors is when you're sending somebody a podcast host or whoever a copy of your book, send them two copies and ask them to share it,
Yeah,
and it's some of the cheapest advertising that you can do.
that's a great, great tip. And, even if your book isn't new, You're
Oh,
trying to reach
yeah,
somebody, go for it. Send 2 copies to someone for the
absolutely.
audience here. And I just want to remind, if you've got a question for Elizabeth about heart-spoken, handwritten notes and how they can impact your business, be sure and throw it into the chat, and we will get to it,
Great,
hopefully.
great.
And also give her
So,
some hearts. She's giving you
yeah.
some really great stuff here. Share some hearts there with Elizabeth. Okay, so what do you see as the biggest barrier to solo business owners when it comes to the practice of building relationships online?
Um, I would say that it is the same, almost the same as it is with a bigger owner of a bigger business, and that is time. And hopefully, most people, if they think about it, won't have trouble thinking of when they could write notes. They just think they don't have time. And I would
Hmm.
simply say two things. One is no matter what we prioritize in life, we have to make time for it. That's just, it may not be your thing and that's okay. But if you have decided it is your thing, you just need to carve the time out. The
Hmm.
second thing is, and this is true for any kind of habit that you want to cultivate, make it convenient. And the way to make it convenient is to get stationery that's got your letterhead or your address on. You don't want to have to write your address on an envelope every time you send a letter. Um, all make it so that all you have to do is grab that note card, write your note, add it to the envelope that's already got your return address on it, and then and address it. And
Smart.
that just makes a big
Yeah.
difference. And if you're on the go a lot, try to just have a little go bag that's got a pen and a few pieces of stationery and some stamps right there.
Wow. A go bag for writing note cards. I like that. Um, do you have any advice between like using stationery versus cards? When is a card better than just a piece of paper with your
Well,
name imprinted?
for business purposes, I would say a single card or a fold-over note would be the
Mhm,
common things to use. A card is great because it's not that big and you don't have to put much on it, and it still looks like you've done something significant. Um, and it's kind of classy, but
mhm,
I think that again, for corporate, nonprofit, business use, it should look a little professional and not frilly.
mhm. Yeah, and if you're solo like we are, then you can get more, creative. Because
Absolutely, and
I
even
collect
there's
yeah, I collect cards, that are blank inside but are pretty or whatever, and Um, I I have more than I send out, but when I am ready to send something out, I always go through my cards and try to find one that, expresses something about what I'm feeling about why I'm
absolutely.
sending that card,
Absolutely,
so
and you've done that to me, and you do it very well, but I think that and I feel like I have shortchanged the non-corporate stationary because certainly, especially those of us that are solo entrepreneurs, there are lots of people with whom we have certainly a professional relationship, but still a warm, friendly relationship, and they would just be very happy, I'm sure, to have a card with a beautiful piece of artwork on it or a scene
yeah.
or something like that. So
Yeah.
it's just it depends on the person. But again, it's for convenience purposes. If somebody is in a busy corporate scenario, it's just easy to have that stationery. And also,
Yeah.
if you are in management, equip your sales staff with
Mm,
that kind of stationery because they are more likely to use it if you have it given to them.
right. So Lisa has a question. I just have to move my stuff here to get a little bit so I can see it. How do you carve out time for for writing notes and being genuine when you're feeling uninspired and it's harder to focus?
That's a great question, and I would say sometimes it's better to wait until you feel better.
Yeah.
But as far as carving out time, I don't, I hear people that say, "Oh, I'm gonna write 1 note a day all year." Well, that's great. My brain doesn't work that way. I batch things, but to do that, to make use of a time that you've set aside for batching it, you do need to kinda know what you're gonna do during that time. So,
Hmm.
I have a place that I put my, correspondence that I know I need to respond to, and then I also keep a little just jot things down when they come to mind. So again, carving out the time, uh, it depends on when you feel the freshest. Some people, wanna do it first thing in the morning, some people wanna do it last before they go home for the day or stop for the day.
Hmm.
I think that just depends on your personality.
Yeah. Do you have a way that you track what you're writing, who you're writing to, what you've said, what the date, all that stuff?
I do, and I don't have it in front of me, but I've got a journal just like it. These are the little I don't even know how to pronounce them, the Luciderm, journals that you can get
Oh, mhm.
lined or dotted, or blank, and I get the lined ones, and I have a column for the date, I have a column for the code and code like TY or TH is thank you note, TY thinking of you, SY sympathy. It's a 2-letter code and then a little very quick description. And what that helps me do is I can think about writing somebody so much that I think I've already done it.
Oh, yeah,
And if I
been there.
don't write, and so I'll like, oh my gosh, I don't think I did write them, and I can go back and check that way.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Do you keep copies of the notes you write? Because you
I
mentioned earlier that
do,
you wished you had a copy of the one that that woman, was referring to.
I do, I do. That has gotten a little out of hand. Um, so if I have a file on somebody for some reason because I write to them often, then I'll put it in that folder. Otherwise, they go in categories, and
Mhm,
sometimes I can't find them when I need them. But if there's something that I've been really worked on the wording, and I think I might want to use it again, I have a folder for I sort of I
mhm.
call it a swipe file,
Yeah,
where it's
yeah.
not even so.
So, um, what is one small action a solo business person could take today or tomorrow, um, that could strengthen their connections?
The one small action may have already occurred if they were listening to this and somebody popped in their head. That might be the person that they need to write to. Um, the other thing could be who is the client, the prospect that you most want to develop a relationship, or who is your top client, or who is your top donor.
Mhm,
Start there because you already have something of a relationship with them. It's easier to think about maybe what to say to them. But then begin to get in the habit of looking at every interaction you have as a potential person to write to.
mhm.
Obviously, that's a little wide, but you do begin to get into a mindset of, oh, that was a very nice conversation we had. I'd like to follow up with that later. And you
Mhm.
can just do that in a natural way. But the one thing would be just to pick one person and send them a note, and then do that again tomorrow and do that again next week. And in time, the feedback itself will be a reinforcement because you'll realize how much it meant to them.
Yeah, yeah. And as a result of all this, you wrote a whole book about heart-spoken, handwritten notes. Do you wanna
I
just
do.
give us a
Sure.
TLDR overview of that?
Sure. A heart spoken, how to write notes that connect, comfort, encourage, and inspire. And again, I had in mind general note writing, although I do have a chapter called "Take It to the Office,"
Mhm,
about applying things. But probably I've learned so much since I started this and wrote the book. I've had so much response from people who are in sales or are in business who
mhm.
realize they'd like to be better at it. That I'm kind of pivoting a bit and doing more content based on that to help those people, because I think
Yeah. And that brings us that you created a cheat sheet
I did.
for writing, getting started, like getting that initial push of like, what do I say? Want to talk about that?
Sure. So it's just a one-page download that Denise is going to post the link to. 10 powerful prompts for business notes that connect and convert. And it's just non-traditional times that you can write to somebody. And for each of the 10 ideas that I had, I have a little sample script, but I would encourage you to use your own voice, because it'll come to you as you do that. But
Yeah.
I hope it'll be a bit of a help to kind of think about the broader, past the birthday cards and past the holiday cards,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
realize there are other times and places that people will really appreciate hearing from you.
Yeah. I've, you know, we've had a long time connection relationship,
Uh-huh.
and it's now in my brain all the time. I see note cards and I think Elizabeth.
What I don't want, but I'm afraid I tease my friends and family now. I think I put them on a guilt trip because I never intended to do that, because it's not something that I think should be forced at all. But I do think that if people kind of do that mind shift, and realize that they are putting good stuff in the world.
Mm,
They're putting kindness, they're putting thoughtfulness into a world that needs it so badly. And when they can realize that, then they'll understand what I mean by the heart
hmm.
spoken movement. It is a movement of kindness and thoughtfulness that just by picking up pen and paper they can become part of. And that is what I really want
Yeah.
people to take away.
Yeah. It's like um, making someone smile just even for a moment when they receive that is it's like a dopamine hit. It's like when I see a handwritten note, and I have received several from you, and I always feel good. I recognize your handwriting, everything.
Oh, and I
So
think, don't we all have those notes in our file somewhere with precious handwriting from
yeah.
that we recognize as soon as we lift it up? And I also think we can be whimsical.
Hmm.
You and I have a mutual friend who had a very bad accident last year, and I sent
Hmm.
her postcards with limericks and silly poems on it,
Hmm.
as she was recuperating. So we can do do it all kind of ways.
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
right way.
Yeah, and that's important to remember because sometimes I feel just like paralyzed, especially like a very close friend's husband died last week, and he'd been in the hospital for a long time, but even so, that was kind of shocking, you know. She's my age, you know. And it was like I've known her for years and I still felt, stuck of what to say, and that's ridiculous.
It's
Like
not
you say, just
ridiculous.
say what
It
comes out of
is
your heart.
very human, and it is totally okay to say almost just what you said, which is,
Mhm.
I have absolutely no words, but I have to reach out. I just,
Yeah,
I just, I just have to let you know I'm thinking about you.
that's perfect.
So that's
Okay. On that
and
note, where can people get more from you on this? Because you have a fantastic newsletter.
well, thank you. Probably the easiest is my website, heartspoken.com. But the newsletter information is heartspoken.substack.com/about. And that will give you all you need to know. And all that information will be on this handout if anybody downloads it.
Yes, and all those links will be in on the page where this recording will live after we finish. Okay, to wrap up, I've got some rapid fire questions for you.
Uh-oh.
Okay, I know.
Okay.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Morning writing or evening reflection?
Morning writing. I'm a morning person.
Okay, good. Me too. Early bird here.
Yeah, you are really a morning person. I can write you at 7 o'clock my time, and you're 4
Well,
o'clock your time.
not quite, but yeah. Um, favorite note you've ever received?
Favorite probably is not the right word, but the note that I've already described from the woman that I didn't know was
Mhm.
the one that absolutely sticks out because it changed everything for me. I mean,
Yeah.
it's changed the trajectory of my life, literally.
I know, and I've seen that. So, I've witnessed that, and it's pretty amazing. Yeah. Most used phrase in your personal notes?
Probably the one that I use in many sympathy notes, which is to say something like, "I'm lifting you up for comfort, healing, and peace."
That's beautiful.
Because comfort for the loss, healing because you never know what's going on. You don't
Mm,
never know. You don't always know the relationship they have with the deceased person.
mhm.
And peace. We just all need peace.
We
So
all need peace.
I may change it. I may say I'm lifting you up in prayer if I know that they have a faith tradition,
Mhm.
or I may just say I'm thinking of you, uh, wishing you peace. The same thing. But comfort, peace, comfort. Whatever I said, comfort,
Yeah.
peace,
Okay.
comfort, healing,
It'll
and
be on the
peace.
recording.
There you go.
It'll be on the
There you
transcript.
go.
Okay. Elizabeth, thank you so much for sharing your experience with writing heartfelt notes and sharing that with the audience about how they can use them in their business. I really appreciate you. And for everybody who joined us today, thank you for being here. This recording will be published on Friday.
Great. Well, thank you for having me, and I am here for anybody that has questions.
Okay. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Bye.
Bye.